Welcome to Empirical Pea Pod. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it. If you could, please subscribe, follow, share, like, comment, whatever the hell happens when we do these things. I'm your host, Tim Day. Let's get to the show.
The vent keeps making noise. We'll see. I don't think it's enough to pick up, but I've been in this office before.
Should be okay.
I've never been on this side. It's kind of like I'm the psychologist now.
Tell me all the things.
Yeah. We're here today with one of my favorite people, Felice.
You're one of my favorite people.
Prove it.
Okay.
You didn't.
There's
You didn't do anything. You just said okay.
Yeah, because there's no. We're
There's
just
no
hear a bunch
way.
of noises. You're here.
Oh, weird. Let's start with the awkward silence.
How awkward we are as
Yeah.
people.
Great. The good news is this space. We are in Dr. Melissa's office because she's also one of my favorites and allows me to use her office for recording. It's good energy here. I like this.
Very good.
I really like this place.
It's really beautiful.
Probably a little hot for us.
Well, we're fat and sweaty, so
Yeah, we're
that's
not,
how we live our lives.
She's a very adorable little lady.
She's tiny and beautiful.
Yeah. Did you go back to... You haven't gone back to your maiden name, have you?
No, but let me explain why. I feel
Because I
like
won't even say it out loud.
No, I know a lot of people don't, and it's funny because I don't think twice about it because it's not like I'm holding on to the name.
Sure. Well, Felice is such a unique name also that like it's a
Right.
one, people know who that is.
When do we use last names really,
Yeah,
except
right.
for
Well,
formalities?
nobody's like,
And
if I say Dan, you're going to be like, well, there's a bunch of
there's
those.
a few, you
Or
have to
Jason.
clarify, sure.
Yeah.
But for me, it's pretty much just Felice, right? But the thing is, post-divorce, my daughter has his last name.
Right.
And in order to get it changed, like if I don't want to have a different last name than her. And that may sound petty or stupid, but I don't.
Sure.
And to get it changed so that me and her could have my maiden name back, it would be like 3 different court dates and about $1,000.
Sure.
And I don't have time for that nor money for
Yeah,
that.
right.
And it seems like a lot of hubbub. And again, it's just a name. I don't really put a lot of weight into it. So I just, just keep it. People still call me Felice Ferrier, and I don't care. Like, that's still my name.
I was always hoping Scarpelli would
I was
catch
just going
on.
to say, I feel like if I'm going to pay to go back, I would go to Scarpelli. Because it's just better.
Yeah,
You know what a Guido I am.
Yeah, you're uncomfortably Italian. I don't know if Guido's a phrase we should use.
Guido. What's my biological dad's name? So
Oh,
I'm
fair
comfortable
enough.
using that word.
Yeah, well, good. I'm uncomfortable saying it, but that's because I'm painfully Irish.
Right, so it's fine. I'm allowed.
Well, we're kind of peeling the curtain a little bit about what's coming way later. But what are you, 2 years younger than me? Are you class of 2000 and...
I'm 03.
Yeah, so
I'll be 40 this year.
Gross.
Shut up.
It's all downhill.
Listen, it was downhill at 30. I started getting way more sore.
Fair enough. I always thought I'd be dead at 26, so like, I'm on
So you're
borrowed
doing really
time
good.
anyway. Yeah.
Assuming you're doing really well.
I don't know if that's true. More like I look around and I'm like, I'm even supposed to be here.
This is bonus time. It's fine.
Yeah.
No, I think we're doing all right. I think.
Yeah. Well, you kind of.
I'm excited for 40. I think 30 has been really rough
Sure.
for me personally.
Oh,
and
so you're optimistic.
I'm optimistic about 40. I think 40.
The world hasn't punched you enough yet.
40s are the new 20s. When I was
Yeah.
supposed to, I had an okay 20s. I had a rough 30s.
Sure.
I think 40s are it.
And honestly, actually, 40 feels good. To
what
be
I'm saying.
perfectly honest, like.
So far, everyone has had really good luck.
Yeah,
so
I think it's a matter of. It's like there's that old story of like you don't know or when you're 20 like you think you know but you don't know.
You don't know.
And then when you're 30 you kind of know but you don't realize you know.
Really don't know.
And then like closer to 40 you're like and now you're starting to know
Yep.
And I think you're just in such depending on what you've done to get there. Like I pretty much spent my 30s in a lot of personal growth and like
same.
really digging deep into myself. So that I feel like once 40 hit, I was like, oh, now I can actually live my life.
That's how I feel. I feel like by the time I hit 40, I'll be kind of... There's no rule on where you should be at a certain age. I'm not that person.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
where I've been building up to be, I think, is where I'm going to be.
Yeah. It feels nice because I don't know. I was terrified of it until I got there, and now I'm like, I'll stay here. I mean, I'm staring on the barrel of 41, and I'm like, well, this is starting to feel something, but yeah, I'll stay 40.
40 is gonna be good, I think. I'm optimistic about it, is what I'll say.
So where did you start though? Because you didn't start in Oswego. Yeah.
No, my life has been I've been like a little nomad.
Yeah.
So I was born in Oak Park, lived in Chicago. Funny enough, this is the ADHD, so bear with me.
Oh, good. Lucky me.
I know, you're excited. So I grew up on Narragansett in Chicago, like right down from the Brickyard Mall, if anybody knows what that is. And I found out when I was probably like 20-something, watching one of those gang shows on the TV on A&E. Was it? Yeah. That was the gang line.
Yeah.
And I didn't understand why I wasn't really, like, there was certain curfews and whatever. I didn't understand. That's why, because it was a literal gang line.
Yeah.
But that's where I grew up. And then...
How long were you out there?
Till I was little. I started kindergarten in Lyons, like right next to where the Brookfield Zoo is. I grew up right there off of Ogden. I've lived off of Ogden my whole life, Route 34.
Oh, that's funny.
So right out in Lyons there. Then I moved right down Ogden to Hinsdale. I was on the poor side. Don't worry, I'm not rich. I was on the poor side of Hinsdale.
We figured.
Right. That was from 3rd grade to 7th grade, and then I started 8th grade at Thompson in Oswego. And I've basically been here.
So you ended up in Oswego in 8th grade.
Yeah. Which is tough because, as you know, with our friends especially, everyone's been friends since, like, preschool.
Yeah.
They came out of the womb holding hands. And now I'm like, here I am. Hey, guys.
Yeah. I mean, I plugged in 6th grade.
Yeah.
And I was lucky that a couple of people did the same thing.
I still slid in pretty well. It's just funny
well, 8th grade's a rough one, though, because you've missed the first 2 years.
Right.
But also, you're about to go to high school also, so you're going to have a whole new crop anyways.
Right. Which is kind of why I keep Sophie where she's at. Like, I would love to move and do all these things, but I'm like, I want her to have that experience. Like, she has known some of these kids since kindergarten, and I want her to. She's so close. She's in 7th grade. Yeah. I want her to.
It's so unique too, though. Like our friends that have stayed together that long. Like, I love that. It's pretty unheard of.
Right.
When you look at real adults.
Right.
Real adults. Whatever that means.
Right, but still, like, that's what I'm hoping for her. So, pretty much been in this area. I moved to Aurora, like right down the street, right off of Ogden. What is that? The Covey, where everyone lived for a little bit.
Yeah, but that was way after.
That was when I was married.
When you moved on your own.
Yeah, but for a little bit.
Oh,
and I lived.
Hey, ADHD, you're jumping ahead.
Sorry. I'm just saying, like, if you look at the trend, I've hopped up and down Ogden Avenue, which is
kind of funny.
Funny because I feel like I've moved so much, but then I'm like, well, if you just follow this one road,
it's just this one road.
That's where I've been my whole life. But yeah, I've been out this way for the majority of my life.
So 20-something years. You said you went to, when you lived in Lyons, you went to kindergarten there?
Kindergarten through 2nd grade.
Through 2nd grade?
Moved, and it was it was one of those weird schools that it was like kindergarten through 8th grade, one of those schools.
That is weird.
Yeah, and it was very low income and very like, I remember our textbooks were from like the 1950s, and we didn't ever really learn anything.
Yeah.
And that proved to be true when I moved to Hinsdale in 3rd grade. They thought I was special needs. They thought that I was... Well, they told me they thought I was stupid. I overheard them tell them
back then,
she must be stupid. Yeah, they were using the R word and saying I was stupid.
That was the official diagnosis.
100%. And I'm like, okay, well.
I like that you said the R word.
I don't like saying that.
But you said Guido, no problem.
Well, because again, to me, it's just a family name. I'm allowed.
Fair enough.
It's like certain people are allowed to say the N word. I'm allowed to say Guido.
Oh, I don't even like that.
No, you can. Guido's not the bad one. You don't want to say like other words. There's other words that I won't say.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say them out loud.
Well, I don't even know them. I don't want to learn.
We're not going to get into that now. But there's other words I won't say as an Italian.
I'm trying to not have a racist podcast.
Exactly. But great. I'm not saying those things. Guido's not racist, just for the record. And if it is, I'm Italian, so I'm allowed.
Oh, boy.
Well, now I forgot what we were talking about.
Oh, good. This will be a fun conversation. I have to keep track of mine and yours. Cool. Hinsdale, they said you were stupid.
Okay, but here's the thing. My teacher who I was going to have, she's a saint. She just retired this last year. I wrote her a letter thanking her for everything. Like, she is a saint. She's the reason I want to be a teacher. She said, no. She came from this school district. Give me 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And she spent 3 weeks just catching me up. She knew that I was capable. She just she knew that where I came from, I wasn't getting what I needed.
Right.
And within those 3 weeks, I was like top of the class.
Yeah.
And I was in the regular gen ed class. And it was amazing.
Yeah, that is amazing. And, like, I don't want to jump ahead either, but I feel like that's the availability to do that, I think, is something that a lot of teachers 100% have the heart to do,
right,
but not the means to
100%. And that's why I feel grateful, because not every teacher can do that, especially now with my class had 14 kids in it.
Sure.
Now you have kids that 28 kids in a class.
So
I understand that how lucky I was that I had that opportunity to. Not that there would be anything wrong with me being in a different class, but she saw my potential, and I wasn't, kind of just.
Yeah, it's crazy. I was in a gym class once with 40 kids because they kept piling them on. And at least six to eight of them were special needs that I was there to watch. And it's like, this is impossible.
It's impossible. And even just in the classrooms I'm in now, it's tough.
Yeah.
To give everyone the attention that they need.
It's definitely
especially
crazy.
Not. It's.
So you said you were there from.
Then I was there from 3rd grade to 7th grade.
Okay, and then you switched.
Then I switched to Oswego.
And that's still the house your parents are at.
Right? Yeah. So, after my divorce, I moved back in with them. That's the house we had built when we moved here.
Yeah.
Obviously, not a great situation, but that's you look at rent and.
Yeah.
Hard to get a roommate when you have a kid and you're not seeing anybody.
Yeah. Again, you're jumping ahead.
Okay,
we'll get there.
I'm just.
I know you're so excited about your divorce.
No, we're just talking about living situation, and that's the facts.
Yeah, but right now we're in the 8th grade year.
Okay, 8th grade, yes.
Yeah,
Thompson.
So 8th grade Thompson. You actually live. It's a jump, but the same house, same street that Jay grew up on.
Yes, but different subdivisions.
But different subdivisions.
Barnaby goes, and people will always get really confused about that. So now it's nice with our friends. I can be like Jay's Barnaby and Felice's Barnaby, because Barnaby and Heritage is my Barnaby.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's not Victoria Meadows. I guess it would be considered Victoria Meadows, but I call it the Victoria Meadows Barnaby. Yeah.
Where still the beautiful man Paulie currently resides.
Exactly. And I like that I mail him Christmas cards, even though I could walk it to his house.
Can't be walking cards around.
No, I gotta mail them because it's better. But
I feel like it's nicer to get mail because nothing really comes in the mail.
No one gets mail anymore, so I like mailing out Christmas cards and Valentines. And this year I've already bombed it a little bit, but I did mail out Christmas cards. So
this year Christmas hasn't happened.
Last year, I mean.
Right. Yeah, you'll get
it. It's fine.
Yeah. So you went to Thompson.
Yep. There was only one high school at that point, so then we went to.
Yeah, so you went to Oswego. What was the transition there then? Because you had just barely enough time to kind of establish some friends. Did you keep the same friends then going into high school, or were you immediately drawn to new people? I know a bunch of people come in because back then there was 2 junior high. I think there still is, but there's 2 junior highs.
There was just 2 now.
Flooding
there's
into
7. Yeah.
I don't feel like that's true.
Oh, it is.
I believe you, but I don't want it to be true.
Right, I know it's a lot. There's 15 elementaries. Yeah, don't get into that. There's a lot. The schools in 308 have really exploded.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting too because back in the day they were one of the top districts in the state.
Actually, East it was just nominated one of the top 20.
Really?
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
That is crazy.
Awesome.
It's good to have that kind of growth and still maintain.
Right, to maintain some goodness around here, but
yeah.
It was a weird transition because I went from one of the lowest income schools in the state, which was bad. I wasn't getting a good education, to one of the highest income schools in the state where I was getting a really good education, but I was getting treated like absolute dog shit.
Yeah.
So I went from having friends and happy to having my spirit broken for years and years and years, to then going to Oswego to oh, what the fuck is going to happen now? And it was amazing. I made friends the first day. 2 people who one who I haven't seen in a long time, but would love to still be friends with, and one who I am actually still talking to all the time.
Nice.
So that's great. And then when I went to high school, I remember when we did orientation, you do the orientation for high school when you're still in 8th grade. Mm-hmm. I remember there were kids crying and they were overwhelmed, and I was like, this is going to be awesome. And I was I still to this day maintain that I loved high school.
Yeah.
There was its downfalls, but I made so many friends. I feel like I was the gypsy. I was friends with everybody in every group.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that as ooh, look at me, I'm Miss Popular. I mean I had friends. If you categorize the school by groups, I had friends in every group. I just was social butterfly. I got along with everybody. So I liked it. I didn't have a complaint, really.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like a good time. I mean,
I know not everyone had that experience, so
sure. Well, I think it also it depends too. Are you looking at just the high school experience, or that time period experience, like, because there's a bunch of behind the scenes stuff.
Oh, there's a lot of bad stuff that happened in high school.
Right.
A lot of serious bad stuff. I was in a bad
Yeah.
spot mentally for a lot of it, but also.
But it's one of those things too that with retrospect too, you're
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, like I can. I've made it through this mental stuff, so I can appreciate.
I appreciate all the good stuff that was happening, the fun things that were happening.
Yeah.
It was a good balance of like low and high income people, so like there wasn't a looming thing about money, which I know sounds weird, but when you go from one to the other, you see like, you know, like Dick Portillo's granddaughter was at school with me in Hinsdale, and she would cater Portillo's all the time because she was, you know, Miss Pop, you know, just stuff like that was like so presumptuous, and it was cool that we got to eat Portillo's all the time because I'm fat, but like, I just hated that like.
I don't know if presumptuous.
Well, I know.
Is the right
no,
word.
she was. She was like, look at I'm
pretentious.
Pretentious.
Yeah.
That's a good word. Thank you. But it was just like annoying, and there wasn't a lot of that in Oswego. It was kind of a good balance of.
Especially back then, as was like, because that was like the boom.
And we were so small at that point.
It was still coming up, like, because I moved there in '94, and there was only like 5,000 people.
Right.
And like, so we kind of came up during the huge boom.
Right.
When it was really like establishing itself as a huge thing, so, which is interesting to like go back there now, and it's like, oof.
Right.
Like you still live in that same spot. Like that used to be a single road, and none of those plazas were there.
It was 100%. It was 98. So our backyard is still right on 34.
Yeah.
There was a farmhouse directly across, and it was all farm fields. You could see the Wackerlands farm all the way across.
Yeah.
And you hear coyotes and now it's 2-lane road, Walmart.
Now it takes like a half hour to get to the Wackerlands farm.
God.
The farm's not even there anymore.
It's not even there, but like you know where it was, but it's not even there. So it's like, it's definitely changed. But I think we were out there at a good time when it was still small.
Yeah.
And it's nice to have the conveniences there, but I do miss the small feel of it.
There's something to be said about it. At the same time, though, like when I go somewhere like Sandwich or further out west, where I'm like, I don't like this.
I do like it. I like it for a minute, but then I'm like, okay.
Maybe that's it. It's one of those things where I want to be close enough to have a life and do things,
right?
But also far enough away to like I can go sit outside and hear nature.
Right. I like that.
You know what I mean? And not have a lot of light pollution.
And that's
which is
a
really tough one.
Right, that's really shitty, but.
Yeah, but so you moved to Oswego. You had to have been what, 12, somewhere in there.
Yeah, I think I turned 13 after we moved there. So 12, yeah.
Yeah, how old were you when you started dating?
In 8th grade, so 12, 13.
12, 13.
Just jumped right in.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just deciding to be that person, right? Right.
And if you know my childhood and the trauma involved there, like.
Nobody does.
You don't get loved enough, yeah.
But nobody does.
I just needed that love and affection.
Yeah, for sure.
So, yeah, started a little early, unfortunately.
I don't know if it's early. I mean, I started dating in 6th grade.
Well, my daughter's 12 and she's like boy crazy. I think it's normal in junior high to be like, oh my God.
I think society kind of dictates that. It's like, usually that's the stuff you're watching, you know, and everything like that is kind of geared towards that and like really pushes you over the edge with it.
Yep.
And gives you anxiety about it. That's a whole different thing.
That's a whole other thing.
Yeah. But it definitely like clobbers you over the face.
Yeah.
It's a lot. With wanting to definitely, I mean, especially if you're not getting that from somewhere, like you want it, right? Mm-hmm. So after you said you had a good time in high school, did you go to college right after high school?
No, I was kind of torn on what I wanted to do. So I took, I think it was like 8 months off. I was like, I'm not sure what I want to do here. I was torn between, I did all the cooking stuff in high school, like competitions and stuff.
Yeah.
I loved cooking. But
do they have equivalent of a VICA for cooking?
I went to VICA.
Oh, nice.
Right, so I did go to VICA.
Where'd you place in that?
Oh, let me start on that. 9th. because they only had one sink area. Uh-huh. And I asked the lady, the judge lady that was sitting there, I'm like, hey, so I'm done, but the sink is taken. What should I do with all my stuff? I had a bin. She goes, well, just put it there like in line, like make a line with your stuff essentially. Well, there wasn't room in the line, so I had a bin of dirty stuff by my station, and they docked me a ton of points for having dirty dishes at my station, even though I had nowhere to put them. Bogus. But my food was better than everybody else's. Yeah. So, sore subject 30 years later.
It is. Well, I like it, though, because, like, talking to Guy, I don't know if you listen to Guy's episode, like, here's a gentleman. I can't say here's a guy.
Here's a guy.
Here's a person that, like, goes to VICA.
Yeah.
like places #1 in the state, has a student that goes like place #1 in the world, like
right.
And he's just this. I played in a band with him for like 10 years.
Yeah,
he's
amazing.
This adorable little man that's like makes funny dad jokes.
I love dad jokes.
It's just funny to see like people that close to us like operating on that high of a level, and still just being like down to earth, cool people. Like, because you eventually. So you didn't go to college right away? Or
No. I was in between that and teaching, and I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was feeling a little lost, so I took some time off. Then I did go to a Bonzi for teaching.
Right.
Started doing that.
Yeah.
And then in the middle of that, my mom got really sick.
Sure.
She almost died.
Right.
So I just stopped everything I was doing.
Yeah.
Focused on that. Mm-hmm. Then in the middle of that, how did this go? I was cleaning out some stuff, old stuff. I was reminiscing about all the cooking days. Yeah. And I had scholarships from like team competitions we did. Right. We won first and second in those, and I had scholarships. I was like, maybe I should just go and just see. Right. There's no, it's an accelerated program. It's a year and a half, and if I hate it, I can still just have the degree, whatever. Yeah. So I ended up going to culinary school using those the scholarships. Yeah. To get that degree. Right. And then I got.
But you finished that degree.
Yeah, when I was like 6 months pregnant, I graduated from that.
That's right. So because in there you got pregnant.
Yeah.
And then, but then you graduated.
Then I graduated pregnant, and then
got married.
And then got married.
And then
the plan was, okay, I don't want to do this as a career, but I like this. I do want to finish my teaching. Sure. So the plan was to go circle back around and go back to picking up where I left off with the teaching stuff.
Right. And that's where you're at now.
And that's what I'm almost done with.
Yeah. So you'll have like 12 degrees by the time you're done.
Pretty much. I'm going to literally have...
But you have a degree in...
I have a culinary arts degree.
Right. I thought you specialized in baking. Why do I always make that up?
Because that's what I like to do. So that's what I've always done is baking. It's kind of my specialty, but the degree is just general culinary arts. Then I have my associates for teaching.
Right. And now you're...
The bachelor is 3 different components. It's early childhood, elementary ed, and special ed.
Yeah, and that's what you're working on
That's what I'm working on now. So, and then because I have the culinary degree, to my understanding from what multiple people I've talked to, because if you have a culinary degree and any teaching degree, you can teach culinary level, college level.
You became Southern for a second. You can teach.
Welcome to my world with ADHD. I can teach any college level culinary course like over the summer. Yeah. Just because I have those degrees. So it won't go to total waste. I can still teach that in the summer if I want to, if I don't feel like serving and bartending anymore. But
yeah, which is a hard thing to get out of.
I kind of don't want to get out of it. It's just my body doesn't like it anymore.
Well, I feel like that's pretty typical. Usually you're a lifer. It's very rare to like come in and because you get used to a certain kind of life.
And it's
and
hard.
Also, you've been serving since how old?
13.
Right. So you started serving at 13. So you're
my whole life.
You're gonna be 40.
Right.
And you've already got almost 30 years.
Right. Under my belt.
As a server.
Oh no.
Yeah. Which is crazy to think about, but like.
But it's like that's why I don't know. It's gonna be. I'm still gonna serve here and there while I'm teaching, but that living paycheck to paycheck is gonna be a system shock otherwise because I don't know how to. Yeah. I'm used to, I'll just pick up a shift, I'll grab some cash. Like, it's like an ATM. Yeah. Your job's like an ATM.
What? I mean, not for nothing, you could grab $50 to $400.
Right.
Just in working
you saw
a dinner.
What I made yesterday, right? Exactly. So it's like, just, yeah. But I'll be, anyways, the goal of school is, I'll finish the teaching degree, serve a little bit. Yeah. Go from there.
Now, I probably should have said this at the beginning, but just in, I don't know. A warning is not the right word, but just a
trigger warning.
Yeah,
I'm a walking trigger warning. Yeah, if you want to be
trigger warning.
realistic.
Some stuff's gonna come up that might be upsetting, and it might be more upsetting because we might joke about it because that's our.
Well, I've accepted my traumas and I've dealt with them and I've worked through them and I'm comfortable talking about them.
Well, they're very.
But it can definitely trigger people on a big level. So for real,
and when I'm uncomfortable, I'm gonna make jokes. Right. Also, I know you well enough to know what.
Well, we laugh about it.
What we can
other
laugh
people
about.
Might be like, ooh.
Yeah, but just that too. But like, just because, like, even just talking about, we just skimmed right over your wedding. I remember the day of your wedding.
You're pulled up front.
Yeah, I walked in. So I was essentially your best man.
Yep.
And right when I walked up to you, you're like, I don't want to fucking do this.
I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to do it the week before.
Well, we had talked about it, yeah.
But it was, to me, it was like, it was already on paper. Like, legally, we were married already.
Sure.
So at that point, it didn't matter.
Yeah, it was
it was more of getting Sophie baptized.
That was the main point.
Right.
But I remember it being like, you're like, I don't want to do this. And I'm like, we could go right out that door and not do this. Because I never wanted it to happen in the first place.
I know, none of you guys did.
And then I was like, you're like, well, everybody's already here. And I was like, what a reason to get married.
Well, and let's mind you, I was 2 months postpartum.
Yeah.
Terrible postpartum depression. I was depressed. I was in a whole funk.
Yeah.
One of his family members said, you want to go? You want to get out of here? And I was like, that's a bad sign. That's a red flag.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was something. It was a bad choice on my part, but also I appreciate it now. As far as I sincerely thought that I was doing the right thing.
Well,
that I was giving him a chance, that I was doing the right thing by keeping our family together, and everything was going to be okay. And it was okay for a little bit.
Sure.
You know, and I don't regret it. I don't regret it.
Yeah, I don't think it was a bad choice. It just didn't pan out.
It wasn't a good choice.
Well,
it could have gone down differently.
Yeah, at that point, it was still...
No shit to talk about it, honestly.
Right,
I have no animosity towards it. I have no regret.
Yeah.
It was just... not a good spot for either of us, and
right. Well, you guys were still young and like pretty immature.
Yeah.
As far as for that time period, like, because age doesn't really matter for that. It's a matter of like, this is a new thing. You're already working on yourself, like as a single person trying to build your life, and now you're pregnant, you know, and then now you've got to do all this other stuff, and now you've been a single mother and still putting yourself through all this stuff. Like that's incredible. Like that's, you know, you're out here.
Getting it done.
Killing it in these streets, basically. Yeah. Because also you said you had started dating at 13.
Yeah. I mean, how far do you want me to get into that?
That's up to you. That your comfort level. Also, if I bring anything up that you don't want to talk about.
No, there's nothing.
Because I know your life story.
Well, I feel like everyone knows. Like, you can you can talk about anything person. I'm not, there's nothing off limits. But.
Sure, but like, I don't want you to feel judged or anything like that
no,
either. Like,
never.
You know, I think you have a good tale that other people should hear.
Yeah.
And I think that there's a lot
of cautionary tale of...
Well, not even a cautionary tale, but like, hey, it's okay to talk about this.
Right.
And it's okay that if this has happened to you, like, there's people out there, like, if you... Like, I feel like you're somebody that would talk to anybody if they needed to be talked to.
And I do when I can. I'm always like, please. Yeah. I like to listen and whatever, but...
Yeah. Well, even before we get into that, the way we met...
I love it so much. I don't think it's awkward. I think you said it was awkward.
Oh, it makes me so uncomfortable.
It does?
It does.
Why?
I don't know. It just does.
Okay, well, let's preface by... So, high school was rough in a lot of ways mentally for me.
Yeah.
But I would say that I guess it's going to be funny when I say it out loud, but it makes sense in my head. My saving grace and one of the best things about high school to me was like Prairie Fest, Battle of the Bands, and we all know Three Crease was my favorite. Like, sure. I was hardcore, well, for all of you guys, I was a hardcore AP fan. Like,
I know those guys.
You do know them. I know them. I still have every shirt and all the things.
That's crazy to me. That there's still merch out there.
If you see my collection of merch from everyone's bands, all of you guys will be like, wow, what a
I think
creeper.
my sister might have some shirts too. I think you're probably the only two left.
Yeah, I have so many. But I still have my original Three Crease shirt and all the tapes, and not CDs, the tapes and all that. But anyways, that was my saving grace. I loved, like, raging Three Crease fan. Yeah. And in fact, I'm almost 40 and I still plan on getting a Three Crease tattoo. That's hilarious. Yeah, it's happening. Because it represents
a time period.
A good part of time period.
For sure.
And that's what it is. But, so with that said, I had opened that Chili's in Oswego. Opened it. Yeah. That's how old I am.
That was one of the first things built there.
Yeah, 2002
and
that opened.
Almost every single person we know worked through that
I was
Chili's.
one of the first employees hired there. I was the OG. Yeah. Gina worked there, and all these people worked there. So, okay. So, I was working one day, and Zach was working with me at this point. And I had in my server book, we always put pictures and stickers, and I had a Three Crease sticker. I had a picture of the band, and then I had a big-ass picture of Jay with his eyebrow pierced like old. Jay, if you're listening.
Cute Jay.
You're so cute.
No.
Still cute.
Jay's
but
old.
Like,
Jay's
band
old
Jay. This was band Jay. And I was like, oof. So I had that in my book, and I'm at the computer, book open, putting it in order. And Zach comes up and he's like, why do you have a picture of my best friend in your book? And I laughed. I'm like, what are you talking about? You like Three Crease too? He's like, no, I'm serious. Jay's my best friend. And I was like, oh. I was like, well, hi. Haven't you seen me at like every show? Like, Counterstock. Like, I've been at all these things. Like, hello.
It's like, funny to hear somebody look at him as, like, all of us as stars at the time.
Right.
Because we're all just a bunch of dickheads that hang out.
Well, I was a dickhead who was in all the shows, too. So I'm like, it's fine. So then, so we started hanging out more because he thought it was funny. Made me hang out with Jay. I shouldn't say made me, but, like, he's like, come hang out with Jay. I'm like, okay. Yeah. And then you were there, and it just, then, I don't know, then you became my bestie because you're the coolest.
Yeah, we met at Zach's apartment.
Yeah.
It was just us three.
Yeah. It was awesome.
But that's not the part that's uncomfortable to me.
What's uncomfortable?
The uncomfortable part is what you told me years later about that particular night. Which you probably don't even remember.
I don't remember. I have Alzheimer's, I'm pretty sure, so you better tell me.
Well, now I don't even want to bring it up.
Don't tell me now. You have to say it. We're all waiting.
So you, like you just said, you were going through a lot of stuff, and you were suicidal at that point.
Oh, yeah.
And that's...
I like it said, like, yeah, totally. Totally was.
I remember that. But and again, this is the story you told me, is when we met, because we had just met that night at Zach's. Yeah. And you were planning to hang yourself that night.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah. So that's what, I didn't realize that's what you're talking about.
That's
the
part that's uncomfortable.
I got you. Well, that's nothing to do with how we met. It's the fact that
That's how we met.
We met because of that funny story. That's how we met, because through that, so just look at it that way. That's the way I see it in my head. We met through that, and I was in a bad spot, and I was about done. Yeah. And meeting you, I don't know, that was my saving grace, because I was like, wow, okay.
You told me I texted you.
Yeah.
And that we were going to hang out, and we made plans to hang out.
Right.
It's the only reason you didn't follow through on that.
It was kind of the light at the end of the tunnel.
Because you already bought the stuff, the accoutrement, if you will.
Correct.
Yeah, and we're like...
I was over it, yeah. I had pills, I had... Yeah. Yeah, I was just going to numb myself up and go for it, but... Yeah. Again, we already did a trigger warning, but this is why we have a trigger warning, because we can nonchalantly talk about it, but I know it's not an easy subject for a lot of people, so...
especially
I was in a dark spot. I was in a really... Everything had kind of just collected at that point, and I was really... I was over it, but...
Well, not for nothing, because we've lost a lot of people in general, it's that, as uncomfortable as it might make me, like, being the catalyst to that thing, you can't overstate how important a simple fucking text is.
Well, and just
to just be like, hey,
being
man,
there for
like,
your friends.
Right, well, we would just met, and it was just like, hey, man, you seem cool, like, we should hang out without this guy.
Without this dude. And then that's what you wrote. Now I have my best friend, and there it is. I'm here.
Yeah, and you're still here.
We're still here.
So that's what I mean is like...
Okay, I didn't realize... So that's funny, because I didn't realize you associated that with us meeting, and I just associated the fun part with it. Yeah. That's weird that there's two totally different perspectives on that.
I like that your potential suicide is the fun part.
Not the fun part. No, the fun part is that I'm at work, and Zach calls me out, and he's like, that's my best friend,
That's
weirdo.
you and Jay, not me and you.
No, but that's how I came in. Like, I knew all of you guys. Yeah. It's not like I didn't... Like, in our group, I knew everybody. I just wasn't fully, like, plugged into the group. Sure. That's how I got plugged in, and that's how we became friends. That's how, in my head, that's how that puzzles together.
Yeah, I don't... It's funny that you think that, because I don't. Because
and
that's...
It's a totally different perspective,
Because you're already friends with Zach, because working together. Sure. And you met Jay through Zach. But I'm not part of that. I went to Zach's apartment...
You met me through Zach.
On my own, and you happened to be there. So it's a whole separate thing.
Weird. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Because if I would have gone to Zach's that night, I don't know what would have happened to you.
I wouldn't be here.
Right.
If we're being honest. I mean,
well, I don't like how that feels.
Well, it should feel good, because it's not pressured on you. Like, well.
I know.
But it is. It's the butterfly effect. One little thing off.
Well, you're not the only friend who has that story. About me either.
So there you go. But that should feel good that you are that person.
You know what? Maybe I'm just being a baby, because it almost makes me hurt more for the people that I've still lost that I should have saved.
But see, that's the thing. You can't.
No, that was a dangerous sentence I just
That's
said.
a dangerous statement, because you can't. You didn't go out of your way to save me. You accidentally. Yeah. It was just a thing that happened, and even in recent losses like T, there's nothing. Yeah. We had all of us have already said things to him. Like, we were already trying to save him, if we want to be realistically, in my mind. We had already been telling him how much we love him, and you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't feel like there's anything that just panned out horribly. Yeah. And we can't blame no. We can't blame any of us.
You can't blame anybody.
Okay. We're going to leave that alone.
No.
We can't blame any of us. I'm serious. We can't blame anybody because sometimes it just happens and sometimes it doesn't. And it's not a lack of effort on anyone else's part. It's just a matter of...
It's tough you don't want to start carrying that stuff with you.
To carry that.
Because it's just going to weigh you down, sure. But
we've lost a lot of friends along the way since I've moved to Oswego.
That's true.
And I'll tell you, it's hard to carry a lot. I still, Shaw and Law, I carry that out. Man, and think about the chain reaction of him.
Yeah.
You know, there are people in that scenario who hold that and think it's their fault, and it's not their fault. Right. And it's...
Well, that's because that's also like more such a freak thing.
What a crazy thing. Something you do
like,
every day.
Here's something
he
you've
lived
done a million
for
times.
Skateboarding and dies in a skateboarding accident.
Yeah.
Right? Like, seriously? That's what I'm saying. It's just... I don't know that it's the universe's way of giving us the middle finger sometimes. Like, there's not always an answer where you can save them, you cannot save them. It's just... Yeah, in these cases, you happen to be in the right place at the right time, and it worked out well for me and for you, but it can't always be that way.
Right. Well, yeah, I suppose that makes sense. But kind of in the, from there then going backpedaling to when you moved to Oswego, you're around 13. Mm-hmm. You said you started dating at 13.
Yeah.
You were dating an older gentleman.
Correct. And when he was still in high school. He was a senior when I was a freshman. We're not going to name names. Funny enough, I found out that he was cheating on a friend of ours with me, and I didn't. We put the pieces together years later.
Oh, really?
She'll know who I'm talking about.
You were the side piece, eh?
I was the side piece, and I didn't know. Oops, because I wouldn't have done that to that person, especially. But it was weird because he was officially 18, and I was like 13. I was 13. Yeah,
well, that's obviously
illegal, and just not good in general. But I fell for it, and I ended up getting pregnant.
Yeah, at 13.
Yes, and. At that, I'm young. I don't
know. Didn't you leave your house? Or was that later?
Well, no. What had happened was, the trauma scenario of this, big trigger warning. It was spring break, and I lied and said that I was staying at a girlfriend's house.
Okay.
I was staying at his house. His mom was out of town.
Oh.
And in this case, the first day I was there, I wasn't trying to build a happy home or anything, but I was like, okay, it's happening. Like, here we are. And he proceeded to tell me that this isn't going to work. He can't do this. This is not going to happen.
Yeah.
And he kicked me down the stairs, beat the fucking shit out of me.
Wow.
And I miscarried. Which, as we see in the whole, I would have, like a 20-something-year-old kid.
Yeah.
That'd be crazy.
Sure.
I don't like that it happened.
Was that the first time he was abusive though, or was this like?
Yeah, no, that was the first time.
It just came out of nowhere.
That was the first time, and the only time, because after that it was done. Obviously, he was controlling but never abusive.
Sure.
But ended that, and then
well, that's still abusive.
Right.
Yeah,
but I ended
physical.
So I ended up staying there. My family's not going to listen to this, but my family doesn't know about any of that because I was not home for it. They didn't know.
Yeah.
I came home and. By then, the bruises were on my body, not on my face. I didn't really have anything on my face, thankfully. Yeah. So that ended that. But I think that there's always a reason for things that are bad that happen because when you look at it down the road, that specific person has been arrested for pedophilia.
Yeah.
And he's a bad person.
Right. So
to have a kid, God only knows what he would have done to the kid of ours. And we dodged a bullet, that's what I'm going to say. It wasn't good. Sure. I don't like it. But at the same time, I'm comfortable with accepting it because I feel like I really did dodge a bullet there.
Well, one of the things...
But that really weighed on me heavy all through high school because...
That's a lot
to take in. And then he started stalking me.
Right.
When he was graduating, I was a sophomore. Mike Dornbos, he's gone now.
Who's amazing.
Yeah, he's gone now. You know that. And his mom is gone too, by the way, which is
really
gut-wrenching.
Damn.
Yeah, so he died of cancer and his mom died the year after. This was like a couple years ago.
Yeah, I didn't realize she did right after. Yeah.
And she was like our mom because she did all of our choir stuff. She was a pianist. Loved her. But anyways, he was my protector in high school because he would come to the choir wing and try to get into the school and Mike would be like, get the fuck out of here. And like threatened to kill him.
He's such a sweet, beautiful man.
He's the sweetest, beautiful man, but he'll kill you.
Like, don't cross this line.
He had my back so hard. Yeah. But so that was just a bad thing through high school. But again, you see, I look at high school with the rose-colored glasses.
Right.
There was so much good, but that was one of those things that weighed heavy on me. And
I think it's one of the beauty parts of overcoming your trauma is being able to look past it
Mm-hmm.
It would be similar to like if I talk about growing up in my house and be
Right.
like, okay, yeah, these things were there, but like,
Sure.
okay, I learned how to fish, and my dad used to call me off school,
Right.
and we could go fishing.
Right.
We always bonded over science fiction TV shows or
Sure.
fantasy novels or dumb shit like that
Right.
too. Like, so there's these bright lights there in this darkness,
Right.
and you learn to like, okay, I'm taking these with me. I don't need
you're
this
not
darkness
ignoring the
anymore.
bad, but you just
don't need it anymore.
You can't focus on it.
It's not, is to use a very cliche phrase, it's not serving you.
No, 100%.
And you're recognizing
it wasn't serving me at all. It was ruining my mental health, and at the same time, I had to start focusing. That's why, as an adult, I'm a silver lining person.
Yeah.
There's this shitty thing that happened. What's the silver lining here?
Sure.
Haven't always found one for every scenario, but in 90% of the time, I can go, okay.
Well, a lot of that
this is
too
why
is
this is gonna be better.
Sometimes you grow into that silver lining also, like because you don't want to undermine somebody like when something just happens and be like, look for the silver lining.
Let me tell you why this is okay, right?
Yeah,
no, but eventually
out
you
of
go,
my
okay.
face.
It took me years. It took me 10, 15 years to go, okay.
Right.
Having a miscarriage was a beautiful thing in that scenario because it would have ruined my life would be nowhere where it is right now.
Yeah, but even even being able to see that, it's still a traumatic thing.
Yeah, I accept that it's traumatic. I have walked through things with other people to try to help them through things because of that. You know what I mean? Right. And that was one of my middle traumas. I had so much trauma before that.
No,
I wasn't a stranger to trauma, but
and that's we kind of brushed over also because you already stated by the time you get to us, we go in around 13, you're looking to fill a void.
Right.
Being this void was also caused by more trauma. Mm-hmm. Do you remember what happened? Like, what kind of was the catalyst for that?
Like what traumas were?
Yeah, I'm sure it wasn't just one thing. I'm sure it was a collection of things.
Oh, there's definitely
there's definitely a reason when you're 13, you're like, I need to fill this void. I'm not getting anything that I need, and I'm willing to look past certain red flags to get it, even if it's subconscious.
Well, I mean, there's the obvious of like 8 years old, being sexually assaulted. That started the, what's the word I'm looking for? I didn't feel safe.
Yeah.
I didn't feel protected. I felt, as the kids say, I felt the ick. I felt ick about.
That's the fourth time you've said that today.
I can't help it because it's the best word for it right now. It's
it is
just
pretty
an
good.
Ick.
Ick.
I felt ick in general. And then, my family, I have extended family who is like my savior. My aunt is now gone, unfortunately, which that's a huge hit for me. But I do have other extended family who's there for me. My brothers were little; they were there for me, but they were little at this point. So what are they gonna do?
Yeah. And
my parents, I think, meant well, but like my mom was a workaholic, like she still is, and wasn't really around for me. And this assault happened when I was with my grandma, who was like my favorite person in the world.
Yeah.
And it wasn't her fault. I was at a sleepover. It wasn't her fault. And I was afraid. I couldn't tell anybody because I was afraid that they would take my grandma away from me.
Right.
And that was my safe place. And that's a conundrum. Well, I don't feel safe now, but I want to keep the one safe place, but it happened under her watch.
Well, it's really
confusing.
But that's especially as an 8-year-old trying to process that.
That's the thing. And I'm 8 and you're scared.
Right.
I'm going to kill your grandma if you tell anybody. Oh.
Right.
But then I know, because she was an alcoholic, so I already knew that I was on thin ice.
Right.
They let me stay with her because they kind of needed her as a babysitter.
Yeah.
But I knew for a fact that if I lost her, that would be it.
Right. But that, again, at 8 years old, that kind of warps your reality.
So to internalize all that already, that's what started my problematic self going forward.
Right. Because a warped version of male attention.
Right.
And kind of what affection is.
Right.
And the absolute terror of thinking of losing anybody.
Right.
Yeah.
And at home I'm getting, I don't want to say verbally abused, but my dad wasn't a nice person growing up. Sure. You understand that. Just
I do.
Yelling, screaming, degrading. Yeah. So I never really had a good male role model.
Right.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
And thankfully I've been around enough people now to understand what that should look like.
Sure.
And I'm a single mom, but I teach my daughter this is what this should look like. Yeah. We have a couple examples of friends like, I don't want to name names, I suppose, but like, can I name names? Well, you, of course. But like my best friend's husband.
Yeah.
He's a model. Like, this is it. So this is what we strive for.
Yeah.
And that's it. Like, it's hard because I didn't have that. No one was sitting there going, you should. I had my extended family teaching me how to be a good person and made me feel loved in general,
right?
But not from the male perspective.
Yeah.
But then you go into junior high and all the boys pick on you and tell you you're a piece of shit and.
Right.
You know, everyone...
Well, not for nothing, those little boys were raised by people like your father and people like that...
Well, and they all had money and I didn't, so, like, they were all, you know, just jerks, and it was a rough scenario. So going to 8th grade in a new school, okay, this is a fresh start.
Yeah.
Maybe no one will hate me here. Maybe I can, you know... And it wasn't... And it's weird because it wasn't affection through sex that I was looking for. It was literally just like this, like...
Yeah.
Friend affection, just affection in general.
Well, just
attention. What I want. Attention.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, so it was bad.
Well, I feel like it probably, like, for me, one of my big love languages is reassurance.
Yes.
And words of affirmation. So I feel like, you know, because those are things that are lacking when you grow up in an abusive situation.
And now you wonder why I have a praise kink. Because this is why. Because I have daddy issues.
Right. But it's true though, because like I grew up
because that's what we need.
Right, but I grew up in an abusive house, and it messes with your brain where you're like,
it fucks you up, yeah.
Because these people quote unquote love you,
right?
But they're mistreating you so much,
right? Like this is very confusing, and I don't understand.
And then you grow up thinking that must be how you like somebody, is to destroy them.
That's like,
emotionally.
oh, that boy's hitting you. That means he likes you. That's what we were taught in kindergarten.
Right,
if he's hitting you,
right,
he likes you. Oh, great.
Oh my God! Please don't. Please don't raise that
can of worms.
Yeah, that's.
But yeah, that's a whole nother conversation for a different day. But
I feel like that also. Then even after having the miscarriage and getting out of that abusive relationship, because that's your only physically abusive relationship.
Yeah, I did have someone lay hands on me once, but I knocked his ass out. So there was, and that wasn't really a relationship. That was a situationship, you know.
Sure, yeah.
And yeah, he said something like, "Whatever, bitch," and I was like, "Yeah, we don't do that. That's not funny." And then he grabbed me, and I knocked his ass out. I was like, "No, I'm sorry, I'm not." No, I've learned after that one. We don't.
Yeah. Well, you grew up.
I grew up. We're not.
Like if this is a possibility.
Well, fight or flight. I'm in fight or flight constantly, which is why I'm a psychopath. Like, that never has gone away. The fight or flight is constant with me, and like.
That's why I'm always like, I wonder if Felice ever relaxes.
No, the answer is absolutely not. I am in constant, and then everyone's like, "Oh, you do so much, you do this." I'm like, "Yeah, that's a trauma response, just so you're aware."
Right. Yeah.
Me, student teaching at 2 different schools, going to school, single mom, working full time.
Like when people are like, "Oh, Felice is so
response.
nice. She helps everybody." I'm like, trauma response.
Trauma response, but okay.
She's afraid that you're gonna leave her or abuse her.
Well, I feel like it's because I know how I was treated, and I never want anyone else to feel that way.
That's how
I feel. We try to fix the world.
Yeah.
And that is a trauma response. It's a good one. That's one of the good ones.
Potentially. Well, I don't think at least now we've entered a place where we're not hurting ourselves to help others.
Well, right. I'm not in the people-pleasing phase anymore.
Well, because that's what I was going to get to next is after the miscarriage and the abusive relationship.
Oh, people-pleasing.
I feel like you entered a people-pleasing place all the way up until probably your 30s.
Oh, yeah.
Of like...
Up until I was married, I think, is when I was like,
there was even a particular situation where like somebody was supposed to go on a vacation with you, and you paid for everything.
I did.
And then they never paid you back.
Well, and the thing was, I didn't expect him to because it was the only way. He's like, "Well, I can't go. There's no way I can afford to pay it back." I'm like, "It's okay, I got it."
Yeah, well,
that's to Mexico on my dime, and
how much
fine.
money was that?
I don't even remember. It had to have been thousands.
Yeah,
but I had disposable income at that point, so at that point I was young and I didn't care. But like,
sure, but still,
like, I get it. That's how I was. I was like, "Oh, I got it. It's fine. It's fine."
Oof.
Yeah, I know. I'm still a nice person. I do my best to be a good person, but I can't put myself in those scenarios anymore. I don't.
Yeah.
Which is growth, and that's good. But
that is good.
It's a hard one because I still do want to. My love language is like acts of service and gifts. It is. Yeah. So it's really hard to make that line of like, what is my love language and what's becoming people pleasing and bad.
Yeah.
There's a line.
It is a tough line.
It's a hard line to not cross.
Yeah. It can be nebulous, kind of a line.
So that's where I struggle still, but I think improved, I would say.
Yeah. That's kind of, like I said, I know we've laughed through a lot of ugly things already. But the point is, at least for me, I don't want it to feel like we're putting you on display.
No, I think it's good though. I want
people to hear it, and I also want people to understand that there's no better person in this fucking world.
Aww.
You're an absolute beacon of light.
Thank you.
And like such a good person to know and be around. And you can make everybody feel like $1,000,000. And that you fucking come up through the dirt. So you know what it's like.
Well, that's the thing. I get it. And that's why, because I want people to not ever feel like I did. I want people to feel loved and important and heard. And if I can help one person by saying, hey, I've been through this, this, and this. Yeah. It's okay. Like, it's,
and I want other people to hear.
You don't have to make light of it, but you can. Well, yes, and it's okay.
Yeah.
Like, we can.
I understand people that don't and think it's fine. Not okay. I understand it 100%.
But if you at least know people can relate and you don't feel alone.
I want you to hear what people have been through and be like, I want you to find your own value from what you've been through. Like, anybody that's listening to be like, oh, okay, I do want my confidence back. I do want to see the other side and get through this. Like, there's resources out there, just way better resources than us.
Well, but not everyone wants to go to those. Sometimes it's easier to talk to a friend or someone who knows.
For me personally, I'd rather talk to somebody who's walked the walk. Right. I just find
How did you deal with this? What did you go through? I like those personal experiences because it sucks to have them, but to know that somebody else got through it okay. Yeah. This is what they did. Maybe that can help me. And if it doesn't, there's other people. And you can just find those resources of like, hey, how do I get through this? Yeah. Not saying I'm the answer, but I could help, potentially.
Another thing that if we had to pull threads, that probably ties back to most of the trauma we've talked about, but I'm curious to see how it's evolved now that you're in a healthier mental state, is in my phone, you're labeled as Felice the Hooker. Also, there's a nickname that you've been known by most of your life. What is that?
I can't even breathe. Listen, okay, so let me just start with the nickname. The nickname was kind of an accident. I'm gonna name. Can I name names? Is that okay? Because she won't care.
Yeah, that's up to you.
So I don't remember who all was in this group, but when we would go bowling in gym class. Yeah. Okay, so it was Nicole Starkovich. She's the one that gave me this nickname. She's the queen. Anytime someone would go to bowl, you would change their name to like Asshat or Fuckwad or
me,
Twat
Jay, and Schmed were a team.
Yes.
And then me, Yunker, and TJ were a team.
Okay, so you understand fully.
Every single frame.
Every time. So every time we would go up and these nicknames were all they're not named nicknames. They were just names to be stupid. And then she put up there one of the times Feloose. 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 And when I tell you it's stuck, there are people that didn't go to high school with us that don't know the story. Yeah. At 40, I'm still called Feloose. Yeah. And I think it's the funniest thing in the whole world. But she gave me that nickname just as a whim, typing it into the bowling machine. And that's literally how it stuck. But yes, I've been known as Felice the Hooker. Someone that I used to work with at Chili's had me in his phone as Cum Dumpster.
It's not funny.
It's funny because it's not serious. Like, people aren't insulting me. It's a joke. Like, it's a joke. But it's also a joke because, I was I was sleeping with everybody for a while. Yeah. But it's funny because, and it's going to sound contradictory because I just told you, I started dating at 13 because of the attention in this.
Right, absolutely.
Me sleeping around was because I liked it. It really I didn't want the attention. Most of the time I'm like, okay. I was the jerk, like, I'm good. Go away now.
Well, stereotypically.
Stereotypically, that's what it is.
Well, stereotypically, I feel like at least in the past, it's too taboo for a girl to
be comfortable enough to do it.
Yeah, it was like a very like single things like that. And I feel like we're getting into a more comfortable space where it's more acceptable is the wrong word, where it's just talked about.
Anybody could do it because they want the attention. Anybody could do it because they just like it. Yeah, and I happen to thankfully be the one that just liked it. Yeah. So.
Because it falls into that positive sexuality, spectrum, where you're just basically a whore.
Right. I don't. To me, it's not an offensive word.
Yeah. Well, it depends on what you mean behind it.
It just
depends.
That's
you, but like,
I don't mean it. Other people don't like that word, and that's totally understandable. Yeah. But it doesn't bother me any. It's one of those things where it was like I finally stopped looking at it as a dirty and a violating thing. Sure. I learned that I could enjoy it, and I went with it. I was like, well, shit, I'm in charge now. Why can't I? Yeah. And I just went with it for years. Right. And it was fine.
For years,
yeah. Yeah, not anymore. Don't worry, guys. I'm not doing no time for doing shit anymore. But
I mean, the mileage is still there, so. But I think it's healthy because, like I said, because it's so rare to find somebody that has a healthy outlook on sexuality in the first place. Like it's funny that we're all still a bunch of Quakers in certain aspects.
And you think with all my trauma responses, that would be one of them.
Yeah.
And for once, it wasn't. It was finally me, actually the opposite, taking charge of those traumas and going, you know what?
Yeah.
No, sir.
Because I think that was probably, like, not for nothing, that's probably step one. Because usually, stereotypically, people that have been abused like that will have, you know, specific...
The adverse effect. Sometimes it's the adverse. I don't want to be touched. They don't want me... Or there's a lot of triggers, and I'm grateful that because that is a horrible thing to have to deal with. And
yeah. And everybody's still got their lines and stuff.
100%.
Yeah, like, it's crazy, too, like, people that, like really aggressive play, even though they've been through horrible, like, rape situations.
Right.
But, like, I mean, you're into what you're into, and it triggers your body how it triggers your body.
But it's funny because, like, I like being choked and I like my hair pulled. I like rough things.
Sure.
But I would never be like, if we were going to role play, rape role play is an absolute no-go for me.
Yeah.
Because it feels too real, and that's a no-go.
Well, right.
Even movies, sometimes movies, there's scenes that I'm like,
yeah. There's some really hard to watch stuff out there.
There is. So I get that, and there's still that there, but thankfully, like, I've grown into myself where I've, been able to handle
and don't get us wrong either. Like, people that are into that, go nuts.
Oh, for sure. I support.
Like, if you can do it safely, get after it.
For sure. Just as long as you're consenting and you like it, go for it. It's not for me.
Yeah, and it's such a fine line, though, too. Like,
it's tricky.
It can be
you can go from having a good time triggered in like a second. So.
Like, one of my problems or one of my things is, like, I'm really bad. I don't do well with rejection.
Yeah.
Not like I refuse to be rejected.
Well, no,
but I mean, like, it like fucks me up emotionally.
Mm-hmm.
Where I'm like, oh man, I fucked up. Like, why did I even think that?
Then you feel terrible, and you turn it into a bigger thing than it should have been. Instead it was just a simple hey.
Instead of somebody just being like, hey, like, let's move on to the next thing. I'm like, fuck, I ruined everything.
And then you do.
There goes everything. Yeah. And then I have to go cry in the other room. And by then, nobody wants to date me.
And then it's done. And now that's where we're at.
Yeah, exactly. But I've been, it's funny because it's not... I got to think that there's been times because of that kind of an outlook where people are very uncomfortable because they're not used to it.
Right.
Most people aren't necessarily used to, a powerful woman that, like, is into this.
Yeah.
And wants this, and is, to an extent, if you don't take control, I'm going to dictate what's happening.
That's a hard thing, though, on my end, because I have chased people away.
Yeah.
Mid fun, I've made grown men cry. And I feel bad. I don't mean to. It's intimidating. They get intimidated because they're not used to that. And I feel bad. And don't get me wrong, I'm not like some big, tough, like, dominatrix type of, like, I'm trying to dominate you. It's just a matter of I take that control. And I think a lot of people think that, the man is supposed to be in control. And so I'm that different. I'm in that oddball that comes in and I'm like, oh, I got this. And they're like, oh my God. What's going on? And it's backfired many times in my face, unfortunately.
That's crazy to me.
Which I feel bad about it because I don't mean to, but it's a thing that happens sometimes.
Yeah, well, you hope to be able to have a conversation after and be like,
which
hey,
is harder for people than you would think.
Well, the ego gets in the way. Mm-hmm. I'm lucky that I don't have, everybody has an ego, but, like, it doesn't, at least in that realm, it doesn't flare.
Right.
I've been lucky enough to, be with people that are understanding and communicative because I say things because I want to know. Right. And, literally every body is different. Like, a lot of guys will get one set of moves and be like, I'm set for life. And you're like, this is why girls don't talk to me, bro.
It reminds me of in Knocked Up when he's doing the dice thing. Yeah. He's doing the dice thing too much. I think that's all he's got. No, that's literally, sometimes just have the dice move. And that's,
and that's embarrassing.
And that works for some people, I guess, but it's not going to work for everybody.
Like I said, every body is different, and you need to get into tune with that, whatever specific body you're with at that moment. Right. And to do that, you have to be in tune and listen. Right. And be willing to be coached. Right. Because there's no way you're going to figure it out on your own. You might find something that works. Right. But guess what? If you've got one thing, somebody's going to leave not happy.
Right. Or you're not, and sometimes it's you're not going to figure it out on the first time either. Right. Especially if somebody you want to, like, do that repeatedly with. You need to, like, ease into,
that's interesting because in a lot of situations, if you're a casual dater, like, you're only going to get this one shot.
That's why a lot of what my track record, a lot of it's like, because it's a one and done. And
right. So if they didn't knock you out of the park in the first time, you're not coming back.
And even if they did,
I feel like,
either
way,
I feel
like you're a nice lady who's like, there's potential there.
Yeah, well,
I'll give him another shot.
There's another. We talk about character flaws. Yeah, he's a nice boy. It'll be fine.
Yeah, not for nothing. Just being a nice guy goes a long way.
It does, but then also it's like you have to be careful because the only person that's ever gotten me off during sex, I married him. So what an idiot!
Oh, like, that's why you made the mistake. You're like, you know what? I care more about my life. Orgasms.
Yep. Well, because it was new. Think about how many hundreds of people I slept with. I'm serious. You have me saved as a hooker. Don't act surprised.
It's still, but
not hundreds.
Like we said, that was a joke.
Not hundreds,
you
but
just put 100. There,
like, it's fine. Well, you gotta. I mean, a lot of it's just one-time things. It's not like it's that much, really. It's single times.
Also, there's no difference between 5 and 100, is there?
There's not. Really, trust me, there's not. But it's it's bad. You find that one, you're like, oh, this is what this should be like. Cool. Yeah. Oops.
I still think that's funny. Like, that's such a mean joke to go through all that and think this is the one guy who can do it.
This is the one that's gonna do that. Now we're not even together.
That doesn't even make sense.
It's so funny.
It is funny.
But
you also said now that you've essentially grown out of that. Well, like grown out of it makes it sound like it was immature, and I don't think
out
it
of
was.
What?
Out of sleeping around.
Oh well, I mean, it's one of those things.
You're in a different place in your life.
It's just it's hard because logistically it can't happen. Back then, I didn't have a kid.
Sure.
I would go to work, maybe school, and I could do what I wanted. I was on my schedule.
Yeah, and not for nothing, the server restaurant life,
right,
like really caters.
Oh, that really
to sleeping around.
That's all you do.
Yeah, like I don't want to get deep into that because we have plans for the future where we're going to talk about that.
But the restaurant lifestyle is what made that possible.
Yeah.
Because otherwise...
it can be a cesspool. It can be a good time. But it can be a cesspool also.
I'm going to say it is a miracle that I have never once had an STD.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie. It is an app... And I check frequently. I'm that person.
Yeah.
I am very, very adamant about sexual health.
Yeah.
So I checked frequently. Never once.
I remember one of the funniest things I ever lived through was I was hanging out with a girl and we were having fun, and then she's like, "You've never had an STD?" And I was like, "Oh no."
That is the last thing you want to hear when you're inside somebody.
She's like, "Not once."
No.
And I'm like, "I'm great. I'm catching something right now."
Right. And again, no judgment. I just want to throw this out there. No judgment to anyone that has had one. It is so easy to get one. Yeah. It is so easy to get one. Yeah. Things like HPV that like men carry and you have no idea.
Sure,
so don't get me wrong. There is no shame. Yeah. I want to make that clear.
Also, I still have never had one.
Right, but it's a miracle. I feel like that's a miracle because it's so easy to get one.
Well,
How
I'm
did
not a
we
hooker
not?
like you.
Fuck you.
Yeah, I've accidentally had casual sex like twice.
Oh, well, no. Remember there was like, I got the name Cum Dumpster because it was like that week of someone's wedding.
Bruh.
It was like 2 people in one day.
You were working overtime.
I was working overtime that week. That's gross. I hope my family never listens to this. They're going to cringe. They're going to shut this off.
Now they're going to be like, oh, now I get why she's the way she is.
Right. No, they still won't understand. They'll probably would have shut it off at the trauma part. They wouldn't have heard that. So
that's true.
That's fine. They haven't made it this far.
Yeah. But I feel like you kind of, over the last handful of years,
yeah.
Do you think like when you hit your 30s or maybe mid-30s? Maybe mid-30s.
Well, here. Let me tell you what the big change was. Before my ex-husband and I like got together in the pregnancy and all that, when I was going to school, like culinary school is when I got back together with him, and that's when everything moved forward. Prior to that, okay, let me think timeline logistically. That was at we'll say I was 25 years old when that happened.
Yeah.
Well, you'll remember when I was 21 years old.
Yeah.
Is when I found out that my dad isn't my real dad.
Right, which we're going to get into.
Okay, but just to give you a timeline, so from 21 to 25 was like those few years, like 21 to 23.
Right.
Copious amounts of cocaine, drinking, weed.
Yeah.
Self-destruction. That was mass self-destruction after that. Because that was a hit I couldn't handle.
Well, so, yeah, I'm not sure if you guys caught it that are listening, but so at 21... Felice learned that her dad that had raised her,
and who wasn't very nice to me, mind you,
wasn't
wasn't my biological dad.
She had just learned then that wasn't her biological dad.
Yeah.
And not for nothing, like, because I remember we had the conversation where we also noticed that there's no pictures of you in the house before the age of 5.
Well, not even that. It was all like my extended family was all pictures of me.
Yeah.
And then it was all pictures of my little brothers and like maybe one of me.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's a little weird. And I called him out on it as a kid. I'm like, how come there's no pictures of me on your desk?
Yeah.
Well, now it all fits together. Like, oh, because I'm the step kid.
Yeah.
Oh.
So learning that at 21 set her on a destructive path for a couple of years.
Couple of years of that, and then from like 23 to 25, I had started to go, okay.
Yeah.
This isn't working. I'm going to die from this. Let's reel it in a little bit.
Also, back to the beginning of when we started recording, I had mentioned the name Scarpelli.
Yeah.
That is her dad's last name.
No, it's not.
It's not?
False.
Oh.
That's my mom's maiden name.
Oh, that's your mom's
My
maiden
mom
name.
and dad got married when I was 5. I was at the wedding. But
Yeah.
I didn't think anything of that because lots of people get married after they have kids.
Yeah.
Sophie was at our wedding.
Right.
Doesn't matter.
That's true.
You're
right.
Then I took my dad's last name. My biological dad's name is Guido Metzger. I don't give a shit. Let's name names. But I'm saying, like, that's the whole separate thing. I'm like, oh, weird. Okay.
Okay, so your mom's
my mom. So I was born Scarpelli because I was born just with her.
Yeah.
And then he legally adopted me, which again, it doesn't seem weird because that's the thing that happens with people that have biological kids together. It doesn't matter. Absolutely. That was no red flag, but yeah. So that was like the final trauma that really set me off onto self-destruction. It's 23 to 25. I started to reel it back in a little bit and go, okay, I was still partying and doing things, but like, okay, reel it in. I'd really started rebuilding. What do I want? What do I want to do? Where am I? Who am I? And unfortunately, in the middle of like my highest point is when I got back together with the ex-husband.
Right.
And then that caused the downfall again.
Yeah.
And then it's really hard to rebuild yourself and do all the things you want when you're a single mom of a toddler.
Sure.
So now the 30s were pretty much my, okay, stop it. Get your shit together. Yeah. What do you want to do? And it's been taking forever. Everyone jokes I'm like a permanent student. I've been in school for forever. That wasn't all my fault. That was I started back in. They put me in the wrong thing, and COVID happened.
But also, then, just for everybody else, you can slow trickle a degree.
Oh, of
Even
course.
if you can do one credit a semester if you want.
100%.
As long as you're working towards your goal, fuck the world.
And that's what I was doing. But it was like I had started. The parameters changed in all that time I had waited. So when I was doing elementary ed, which used to be kindergarten to 5th, I jumped back into that, and they're like, oh no, that's 1st to 6th grade. So then I had to basically go back and do an entire degree over of all the early childhood. So I basically did like 90 credit hours at Wabanzi. Jesus Christ. Which is a lot. You need like 50 to get the degree. Yeah. So unfortunately, I did double the work.
You'll have a PhD in early childhood.
I should have a friggin' PhD at this point, right? But anyways, the 30s have been about the slow build, but it's hard too because I'm so busy. It's hard to focus on.
So that kind of social nightlife kind of took a back seat.
There's no time for that.
Because it's one
my
thing
daughter,
when
me, school, and work.
Once you have a kid, it's like this isn't an option anymore.
No,
like, it's not like, oh, should I go out or should I go home? Like, no, I have to.
Not saying I haven't dabbled and like gone and done a couple of things, but it's like you have to get a babysitter and make sure she's well taken care of. And I can't go out and get drunk because what if she needs me? I have to pick her up.
You're talking about once a month, once every few months, as opposed to every weekend.
So that's why I took a stance like 2 years ago when something fell through. I was like, you know what? Fuck this. I'm done. I'm taking, as far as I'm concerned, permanent hiatus. I don't want to do it anymore. Yeah. So I've been just avoiding it. And
closing up shop.
But really, like, all the heavy duty work I was putting in ended, like, before I had my daughter.
Yeah, well, I think there was a shift at some point, too, where, like, you've always been a relationship person. Yeah. But at some point, like, you know what's just a good time. Right. And what's, can be just that, but you've always wanted a relationship also. Right. And I feel like at some point you were shifting to hopefully have a serious relationship.
And that's what I want, but there's not time and it's hard to build that when you're busy. That's true. I hate to say it, but like I would like to give someone proper time and energy. Right. And I'm barely giving my daughter proper time and energy. And that feels, she understands, we talk about it all the time, but that'll get better, but it's just...
Sure. I mean, as I've said multiple times, like, with a single mother, a man has to be comfortable at 4th position.
And you know me, I'll still make him feel like number 1.
Some women can make 4 feel like 1. And that's
but
amazing.
Not right now. And I know
right.
I can't. It wouldn't be fair to somebody else at this point.
Well, it's not, I don't know if it's a matter of fair. Like, for me, like, I've dated I dated a girl with a kid, and I have been close with girls with kids, and it's not. It doesn't necessarily feel bad being at 4, like, because you understand the situation.
Sure. No,
and especially if you love somebody, or at least like care enough about them, like I want them to succeed, and I see what they're going after, and I want that for them also.
Right.
I'm comfortable, and I have the ego to maintain right here where I need to be. Like, I can be, help them, lift them up, and push them. Maybe that dynamic will change. You definitely should not get into a relationship hoping for change.
Right.
But you know that things are going to evolve. Right. And in any relationship, you hope to evolve as a couple.
Right.
But sometimes you don't. And it's just a matter of being mindful of that.
Right.
And in being okay with talking about that. Hey, we're not evolving together. I still love you to death, but as a relationship, we're not giving each other what the other needs. We should just be friends.
Right.
I wish it was as easy as that.
It should be. It really honestly should be, but it's not everyone communicates the way we do. So.
Right. Well, and that's one of the things I feel like is at my age, because I've been this way for a long time, I'm expecting that, and I'm not seeing that.
Yeah.
There'll be one-offs here and there, like other little unicorns that come about.
I used to be a unicorn.
But as a whole, it's like everybody's still the same petty, fake version of what they think they are. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I hope you grow out of that.
Right. I agree. But all you can do is hope.
Right. Yeah.
Wishing one hand, shit the other, see what fills up first.
My grandma used to say that.
I'm an old lady, so.
You are an old lady. Yeah. I feel like we missed a dramatic episode also, didn't we?
I mean, there's a few.
During your sexcapades.
Well, so during the destructive mode.
Yeah.
There was a regular at Chili's that wanted to take me out.
Yeah.
And he's a regular at my work, right? Like, everyone knows who he is. It should be fine.
So in the industry, usually you will become close to people that are there every day.
There's nothing wrong with that. Yeah, we're all friends, and
sure. He
wanted to take me out, and he's like, yeah, just meet me at my house, and then we'll go here. Okay, sounds good. The short version of that story is, now mind you, I showed up to this date in matching bras and like a bra panty set, so we all know where I was prepared.
Yeah.
To have sex on this date, like, I'm not. That was already going to happen.
Potentially, yeah.
No, it was like I was pushing for it, so that's how that was going to go.
He would have really had to phone it in.
He would have really had to fuck it up for that to not happen. But he took it upon himself to, while doing the tour of his newly remodeled space, putting a gun to my head, and he was more into rape than he was actually taking girls on dates. So.
Yeah, that's gross.
Yeah, so I won't get into the details of that, but he...
and don't talk about what happened after.
No, absolutely. That's a no-go. Someone helped me resolve that situation, is what I will say.
Yeah.
Justice was served for that situation in an unconventional way.
Yeah.
That's
vigilante justice.
Yes, and that's all we're going to say about that. No one got murdered, just to be clear. No one got murdered, but like, justice was served, and he actually did end up going to jail and serving time, so everything is fine in that manner. But yeah, I ended up having another...
It's insane. Just the idea,
it's
though. It's
laughable, though, at that point. It's like, how many, I was ready and willing. Are you joking me?
All you had to do was say, hey, you look nice tonight.
All you had to do was just take your pants off. Like, it literally was not a hard situation, but...
Yeah.
Yeah, so that fueled, oh, man. I went on a coke bender after that for, I don't think I slept for 6 days.
I remember.
That was a rough one.
Yeah, I remember I remember the phone call, actually, after it happened.
Oh, yeah. So, you're the lucky one. You get to be in the middle of all the drama. Friend, help!
Well, it's such a serious, heavy, real thing.
Right.
Raped at gunpoint. And I know we're laughing about it, joking now, and it's 20 years ago.
Because I can, but it's also,
it hurts bad. It hurts too much to take it seriously at this point. But, it's a fucking real thing. It's happening out there right now.
Right, it happens to people all the time, and they don't talk about it, or they don't deal with it, or they take their own lives, and it's that's what upsets me, is the fact that, I'm grateful that I can laugh about it, and that I can, have dealt with it.
Yeah, not everybody needs to laugh about it.
No, but...
And that's fine, but...
Not everyone even can deal with it, and that sucks, so I'm glad that I can, but it's Yeah, that was not good timing either. Like in the middle of my mental breakdown.
Right.
Really?
Yeah.
Come on, dude.
We've always joked about just piling shit on.
Just add it onto the pile.
Yeah.
What a terrible. I hope everyone's listening to this going, God, they're so fucked up.
I actually think when people are going to get to this episode and be like, I just want to hug her.
I'm going to get randomly hugged now by everybody for years. I don't like pity parties. I'm not into that, so please don't. Like, there's no need for that. This is, I'm talking about this to get it out there so that we can have a positive conversation and also so we know. Normalize it and know that we can get through anything if you talk to the right people. I feel like if you just talk to somebody about it, it really helps. Because if I would have bottled all this in, I would be dead. Yeah. Period. And I think that's the point. Like, you have to be able to talk about it, and people will support you through this stuff. It's possible to get by. You can't let people that do bad things completely ruin your life.
Right.
And it happens every day, and that sucks. I hate it.
And as simple and as dumb as it might sound, just showing up does so much. Just showing up. Like, because, like I said, I've been the first phone call for most of these dramas. Right. I don't have any answers. I don't have any fancy words. I can't help in any way other than being there and being a sounding board just to let me take some of this burden with me.
Well, we're empaths, so it sucks to carry around everyone's bullshit.
I've gotten really good, though, at like letting it go from there.
I'm still struggling with that. I carry a lot of people.
I don't take anything with me anymore, which is good. Probably from the trauma training that I've received.
Which is good because I need that too. It's like, it's so bad.
Yeah. So now that you've retired your parts and your brain's as salvaged as it can be with your mental health.
Well, that's a work in progress, I would say.
Sure. For everybody, though, forever. Like, it's always a constant evolution.
Oh, I did miss a step.
Yeah?
I did. Remember right after I was getting a divorce, I was still technically married. I went in the swinger group.
Oh.
That was fun.
Oh, you know what?
That was a perfect scenario, actually, because I didn't have to commit to anybody.
Right.
I just did my thing on weekends when she was taken care of, and I went back home.
And everybody was on the same page?
Everyone was on the same page. I was the unicorn. Like, I was the single girl that got passed around and in a safe and consenting manner.
Right.
And it was beautiful. It was a beautiful thing.
It sounds
I wish I could do that now, but there's no time. Again, I don't even have time to take a weekend off to do that.
Just a commitment. Like,
it's a commitment. It is a time commitment, and it's...
Let me give you a comparable situation from my life. I would like to play D&D, but there's just no time.
There's just no time.
That's the same as getting fucked randomly by strangers.
Oh, no. It's a fun game. It's a fun game every weekend. I would love that, but no, it's...
Because also at some point you were part of a throuple.
Kind of. Well, was I?
I think so.
Kind of.
You were dating. There's 3 of you.
Yeah. Oh well, that doesn't count. That's past the swinger. That was a.
Yeah, that was after the swinger group. Did you just say that doesn't count?
Well, because it's not. To me, a throuple is like you're dating both people actively.
Okay.
I wasn't dating both people. I was dating one person of a different couple, and they were dating somebody else.
Fair enough, and that's probably true.
It was a non-monogamous situation.
Yeah, ethically non-monogamous. That's my misrepresentation.
But I was friends with them. That's why I was confused when you say throuple.
So you were dating a gentleman at the time that was dating.
Yeah, that was a few years ago.
A lady at the time.
Sure.
Yeah.
Correct.
That's just sounds stressful, but at the same time,
surprisingly easy.
I've thought about it a lot, and like, regardless of whatever, it almost makes a lot of sense to me as far as like everybody's kind of getting what they need.
Well, and it's nice because I feel like I shouldn't say it may get stressful because I've never been in that scenario, but it may get stressful as the main couple. I was off the main couple.
Yeah.
I was dating the guy, and he had his main. They were living together.
Right.
So if you're the side piece, again, ethically.
Yeah.
Then it's not. There's no pressure.
Right.
Hey, I'm free. Free. Cool.
Yeah.
You're not. Go be with your girlfriend. I'm not interested.
Yeah. So you've got your committed, life at home, and then it's just funny to me because like I can't imagine the time commitment. So I'm like, I don't have time to do things I want to do. I can't imagine trying to be in 2 relationships.
And that's the thing. That's where I would be like, I can't. I don't think I could do that because it would be. Yeah.
Last thing I need to do is
trying to maintain 2. I
can't
maintain
off 2
1.
People.
Right. And that's it. It's not. That's why it's not for everybody. I totally get why it's not for everybody. But I think that I flourished a lot in that scenario because even just in the swinger group because I committed the time that I could. I had my fun. I had permission and consent from everybody, and then I could just walk away and go back to my life. There was no strings attached.
Going into a group like that, everybody's already on the same page. So
right.
You've skipped the hardest part.
And there's rules and regulations. It's not just a free-for-all. It's there has to be written, like if I say you're married and I want to sleep with you, I have to message your wife and get written consent. Is this okay with you? Are you sure? Are you comfortable with this? Are there any rules, do's and don'ts? Yeah. And then the rule is at these parties, it's not just a free-for-all either. You have to wear condoms. You have to be STD tested. I'm
out.
But I'm saying, like, literally, there's rules. You can't just...
Yeah, that's common sense. That makes...
But I made it work. I thought it was a really well-constructed system, which I don't necessarily want to be a part of for forever, no judgment, but it was... it served its purpose. It was perfect for the time I barely had.
I think it's also eye-opening to, like, stereotypically there's this taboo around these kinds of people, quote unquote. Right. And then you go there and you're like, they're just regular people like anything else.
You would never know.
If anything, they're more supportive because they have a common interest and they're all allowed to explore it safely and honestly. Right. And that's a beautiful thing.
Well, that's why you would address it as like, okay, these are my lifestyle friends, and then you have your vanilla friends. Right. And there's a line there that you have to be careful, like, we could all be Facebook friends, but you don't post anything lifestyle where their vanilla friends could see. Right. You have to keep it reeled in so that we don't out anybody. Because most of the time you would never know. There's probably people you know that are wild, and you would never know unless they tell you, because you just keep it. It's not like it's a shameful thing, but you keep it separate. It's your little thing.
Yeah, I like to mix them all together.
I do too. Like, fuck it. Who wants to join? Let's do this.
I definitely understand. Even professionally too. It's smart to keep things under your hat.
100%.
You know, and not every conversation needs to be out and loud.
For sure.
But I personally like to talk about such a wide array of things.
Me too.
That I'm just like, so tell me about all this weird stuff you do on the weekend.
Right.
Tell me about the butthole stuff.
I call those things the poop hole loophole. Let me tell you about these things.
Please don't call it that.
It's fun. The poop hole loophole.
It sounds good.
It's fun.
But now what? Now that we're, all this stuff is behind us. Yeah. You've been through. Like I said, we joked a lot about it and laughed about it, but these are all incredibly like heart-wrenching, serious, traumatic episodes. Yeah. That like,
right.
They are what they are.
I'm at the point where it's like, okay, we have to call it laughable at this point, because it's like, how many things can one person handle? It's almost a joke at this point, but like, okay, I've made it through. If I can use that to help other people, let's use it as a platform.
Well, it's almost like when I think about, too, like when we met and you were ready to check out then.
I was done.
And I'm like, tip of the iceberg.
Right. And then more shit happened after that, but I made it.
It's almost like that was all. You already went through the easy stuff.
Right. That was like, that's pathetic. I was ready to off it over the easier stuff, and then more shit happened.
And there's stuff you're like, I guess I'll keep going.
Oof. I'll tell you, and the only time I've ever really gotten close to feeling that way again was a few years ago, like during COVID times, not because of COVID, but because I was dealing with like my periods and no one would help me.
Didn't you have the thing?
I had a hysterectomy.
But didn't you have the same thing that Liz had? The endometriosis?
I still have that. That doesn't go away.
Right.
Right. So I have that still, but like.
Did you have a full hysterectomy?
I had my cervix and my uterus removed. They left there's cysts on my ovaries, but they left those because they said the cysts won't hurt me, but it won't throw me.
I'm sorry. Can I tell you a joke?
Sure.
I always thought it'd be amazing to like go through medical school and like do all the stuff to get my degree.
I don't know where this is going.
And to like become a gynecologist. And then on my first patient, when they're sitting there, be like, Dr. Day, at your cervix. And then get escorted out of the building. Like, but to go through and get my PhD just for that joke and then leave. Yeah.
I can't breathe. I would pay for your medical schooling for you to do that. Yeah. The world's most expensive joke.
The key to a good joke is delivery, and that's I committed to it. At your cervix. But yeah, but sorry to derail you. Please, back to your very serious medical problem.
I can't get back on track after that. Oh, that joke will be lost on me because I don't have one anymore.
Yeah, but you get the gist.
Well, that was okay. In all seriousness, now I can't recover from that. That's true. That should not be that funny.
Nah, it's brilliant. It is a brilliant joke.
It is brilliant.
Yeah, the build-up is the best part.
Okay, stop, please. I can't breathe. You're gonna have to edit all of this out.
Hell no.
No one wants to listen to me wheezing, laughing for 20 minutes.
Oh, that's true.
Right. Okay. Reel it back in. Okay.
So you had your cervix and
okay, so they took my uterus and my cervix. I still have cysts on my ovaries, but they said to keep those because I'm technically already in early menopause. Yeah. But they didn't want to full blown throw me into it, so they left those. I still have the endometriosis, which sucks, so it's kind of like killing me still. But the problem was I was hemorrhaging. Yeah. I was on iron. I was getting blood transfusions regularly. And all the female doctors were telling me, oh, no, you're still young. You should have babies still. I'm like, oh. Yeah. It was depressing me.
So you ran into one of the things that Liz ran into with her shit where
everybody does.
Nobody listens to you. And even if you get them to listen to you, they're like, well, your body is not technically your body. A man might come along.
Okay. And that's the thing. I'm like, I'm not in a relationship. They're like, well, maybe someone will come along. I'm like, so I have to suffer through. Right. In case I meet a man that wants to have a baby.
A man that I don't even know owns my body. Yeah. Okay. Didn't they make you write an essay?
No. Well, they made me write. I had to write appeal forms. Yeah. To the board because I'm like, this is ridiculous. This is literally killing me. I don't understand what the problem is. And you're saying I'm still young. At this point, I was 35. I'm like, that's considered a geriatric pregnancy. That's true. Are you guys kidding me? Right. So finally, with a specialist that came along, he was a man. I'm like, oh boy, here we go. This is going to be even worse. Oh no. He looked at my blood work. He's like, why are you getting blood and iron? Blah, blah, blah. I explained the whole thing. He's like, you realize you're an active heart failure, right? I'm like, not surprised. I feel terrible. I was getting really depressed, and I kind of was at the point where I was like, I just want to be done. Yeah. Not suicidal, but like, I can't live like this anymore.
But that's different too, like, because
I literally felt like I was dying because I was.
When you were 20, you're like depressed and life is hitting you hard. This is like medically,
I was medically dying, and no one wanted to help me. Yeah. And then they finally took it out, and voila. So I'm rebuilding from that as well. But that was like the only time really that I've had kind of a dip in the mental health that was bad. Otherwise, I've been trending upward. So I guess.
Yeah, trending upward.
I guess that's good.
Even that's almost 5 years ago.
Right.
So what do you think what's next?
Finishing school. So I've got just about a year left.
Yeah. Until you add the next thing.
Well,
or until they move the goalpost.
Right. Well, that's what'll probably end up happening. I'm supposed to take my licensure testing this summer. Official student teaching. Like I'm student teaching now, but like.
Do you know where you're going to student teach?
Well, that's the problem. I was supposed to be with a teacher that I've known for forever, and I guess she's retiring this year, and she didn't. But she just decided that now. Right. After she committed to that, so I have to find a new student teacher this fall. It has to be kindergarten or first grade, but either way, I'll find somebody. Sure. I just gotta get through that, and then I graduate in May of next year.
25?
25. And then I can teach. So the goal is just to get through the rest of this, keep working on the mental health. As soon as I'm done with my degree, I want to get a place. I've been trying to save up to get an apartment. Yeah. And, get myself a job. Still serve occasionally because I need the money and
stay in that cesspool in case you ever want to.
Gotta keep my foot in the door.
Have sex again. I'd be curious too. I wonder if kind of I hesitate to use the word decline, but kind of your decline in partaking in any kind of sexual activity parallels having all your guts removed, like your insides.
What do you mean?
Like what you just said, that is essentially triggers menopause. Yeah. So I'd be curious if that plays any part in.
Like my desire to.
Yeah.
Like no. I still just trust me. I still want to. It's thankfully we're not there yet. I'm sure it'll affect that eventually, but I still really want to. But I just. It's not a matter of desire. It's a matter of.
The juice is not worth the squeeze.
Listen, I'm still snail trailing all over town. Don't worry.
That was the grossest thing I've ever heard.
Well, that's what happens.
I offer you beautiful, fun, punny jokes, and you give me, I want to snail trail it around town.
I do.
You disgusting bitch.
Listen, I'm just saying, the flow factor hasn't stopped. We're still
You're doing it still. You're making
it you asked.
I didn't.
You brought this up.
I danced around the subject.
No.
You're jumping in.
Yeah, because I'm just telling you, I'm not. Because we're not going to advertise to the world that I'm dried up and done. I'm not. I'm still ready to go. I'm just.
I'm going to call this episode Dried Up and Done.
Oh, gross. No. I'm still good to go. I just. There just isn't time.
There you go, boys. She's still good to go.
Still ready.
Shoot your shot.
And I can be. Did I tell you when I first got it what I said about what I upgraded to?
No.
I said I upgraded from toaster strudel to Twinkie. And it's still holds true. It's not gross.
Oh, because you can't get pregnant now.
Right. So if you have a breeding kink, guess what? You can pretend.
What did you just say?
A breeding kink.
A breeding kink?
Breeding kink.
Is that what is that?
You don't know what that is?
I feel so vanilla.
Breeding as in like
I know what breeding means.
Okay, so like guys that like to come inside of girls.
Every guy loves that, just so we're clear.
Okay, but I'm saying like you're doing it with the intention of thinking you're knocking her up.
I would never want. I've never. That shouldn't be a thing. Nobody is doing that with that intention.
But that's the thing. You can do that and pretend, and I'm not going to actually get pregnant. You can just have that desire.
Yeah, but you can just do that and not have that dumb thought.
But then it could actually happen on accident.
No.
Yes. That's how that works. That's how babies are made.
No, yeah. But you can't have it on accident.
I can't. That's what I'm saying. Like, that's the joy.
That would be like a miracle. A genuine miracle.
Yeah. Then I have to change my religious stance, I guess, if that happened.
That's true, because you'd be...
I'd be very... But there's not even if there was anything left there's a wall there now. There's no...
Yeah, I've talked to you. Talking to you in general is like a fucking wall.
No, it's not.
You're right.
It's like talking to a fucking 2-year-old running around the room and you can't get their attention. I change subjects. I have laughing fits. I can't.
Speaking of changing subjects, I'm so sick of talking about your vagina. Let's, I guess this is a roundabout way about talking about your vagina. How old's your daughter now?
My crotch fruit.
Oh, come on. Come on.
You said it.
I did not.
She's 12. She'll be 13 in May.
Yeah.
She's old now.
She is old now. So... As a single mother, like I know you guys co-parent, and that's up and down.
It's a loose term.
Yeah.
But I will say, in the this year specifically, 2024, there's been an effort made to see her occasionally.
It's just funny that it's February, and you're like in 2024.
Just this year, just the last 2 months.
Right. Yeah.
Which the last years, there's been not a lot, but this so far right now,
there's been an effort.
I think that because I've been pushing. I've been pushing since day one for co-parenting. I don't want animosity. I don't play games.
You also can't co-parent alone. It takes two people.
She's not a pawn in a game where I'm going to have her and keep her. I don't like that game. Let's just co-parent.
Yeah.
And there hasn't been a lot of that, and now I think we're working towards that, and I'm so excited.
Right. Also, speaking of parenting, I like to point out that, because I don't feel like enough people know, you're a grandmother.
I am. Well,
we've been a grandmother now for 2 years.
Before we think, yes, just about. Before we think that Sophie has a kid, she does not.
No, she does not.
So when I was married, I was so lucky to get 2 stepkids out of that, who I still love very much and am in contact with. And one of those kids has a baby and one on the way. And the other one has 1 baby.
Yeah, they are older kids also.
They are. No, they're of age too. Yeah, they're in their 20s. So
it's just funny that
I'm 36, in my 30s. Yeah, 36. Like, I'd hear grandma. I'm like, grandma. Yeah.
Gross.
No, it's awesome.
You have to say that? You're stuck in the situation.
No, I'm not. I'm actually not stuck. They're not. If we're being realistic,
it's a choice.
I could be a douchebag and be like, "Oh, you're not my kids," because that's what people do because they're assholes. But
that's true.
No, I love them. I've loved them since day one. I'll always love them, and now I get grandbabies out of it.
Yeah, I don't like any of those.
I'm not having sex, but I could be someone's hot grandma if they wanted to. If they're into that kind of thing. You're into a gilf situation.
God, I hope you get texts about it.
I hope so.
Hey, Grammy.
Hey, Grammy. Listen, that's not going to do it for me. No. Just mark that down.
Yeah.
Please don't call me Grammy unless you're the actual grandkid.
Put that in the do not.
Do not. That does things that do not make Felice wet.
Oh, come on. Come on.
Grammy.
What the hell?
I don't know why you're acting so weird. This is how I talk.
I'm sorry, guys. She's not always like this.
Oh my God, lies. Everyone knows this is how I talk, so good try.
Lies.
No.
What's the transition though of like, so because you were pregnant, you weren't married, and then you were dating, but like whatever, and then you're married and like whatever, and then divorced. What's it like being a single mother then? Because you've had the incredibly social butterfly life. Yeah. And you're very involved in a lot of, not your identity, but a lot of what makes you is out doing stuff. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't necessarily snatched away, but it definitely had to evolve into something different.
Yeah, I'll say the thing that most parents aren't going to say, because it makes you sound like a douchebag, but I think it's just honest.
Yeah, you're still allowed to be a person.
You
love your daughter.
The day that I became the toughest thing about becoming a mom, first of all, I love my daughter and I don't regret anything. That's it. I love it.
Absolutely.
I'm here for it. However, I have completely lost my identity. I have no identity anymore.
Yeah.
I'm Sophia's mom.
Right.
I'm just mom.
Right.
I'm Mrs. Jernstad because I'm a parent of a kid.
Right.
I'm not Felice anymore. Like, it's like Felice doesn't exist.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm trying to get back to.
And that's tough. I think that's interesting because a lot of parents kind of forego looking for that anymore and just put themselves into their kids. Which is like fair enough.
But
like,
I think you can do both.
I 100% agree.
And that's what I'm trying to do.
Some people are content to just push this.
And that's fine.
Not push, but like just their identity becomes what their kids do.
But I think this may be controversial.
Uh-oh.
I think that the problem with that, though, is that's when you start living vicariously through your kids.
Right.
And you push them into shit they don't want to do.
It's a dangerous slope.
My daughter does. She's involved in a bunch of things.
Yeah.
By her choice only.
Right.
I don't push her to do things. I mean, I encourage her and I support her.
Try everything.
But I don't push her. Well, I used to do dance, and she does dance, but I didn't push her. She one day said, "Mom, are we going to dance class?" She's like, 2. I'm like, "I'm sorry, what?" She saw in some cartoon.
Yeah.
Caillou's sister goes to dance class. Okay. And then she just did it, and she's been with it ever since.
Yeah.
But I didn't push her into that. But you see these parents that, like, you could tell, oh, yeah, you did that in high school. Now your kids does it religiously. Like, I'm not saying it could just be that way, but I feel like you have to have a little bit of your identity left so that you don't push it on your kids.
Right.
There has to be a balance.
I definitely think it evolves, and it's definitely it's good to be mindful of trying to find that or see what it's defined as now.
Right.
Kind of rediscovering that.
Right.
You know what else we didn't talk about is back in the day. I'm reminded of this because last night I was playing games with Walsh, and he was like, "Have you ever been to a rave?" And I was like, "No, I've never been to a rave."
I used to
But then I was literally like, Felice used to party so much.
I used to wake up in fields not knowing where the fuck I was.
I've done that, but not from a rave.
No.
That was a different story. But like, you used to go to...
Like the woods in Yorkville, they used to have them like...
Yeah.
Oh, no. I used to just...
Because you used to also go clubbing constantly.
Oh, clubs were like...
what was the one? Zero Gravity?
Oh, that dump.
Yeah.
How I never got roofied and died is a miracle, too. Like,
yeah.
I used to go to some sleazy places.
Well, because that was for younger people, too,
that was when we were younger, right.
Yeah,
and then thank God that's closed. It's all a medical building on that corner.
Yeah, it's been gone a long time.
We used to go there. We used to go, when we were in high school, we used to go to Chasers. It was like a goth nightclub by the mall.
Yeah.
Oh my God, so tacky, but it was so fun. We used to mostly just do like the raves are mostly outside in like the Forest Preserve in Yorkville. I can't talk. And the one down 71.
The Forest Preserve, like with the big hill?
Yeah, in Yorkville.
Harris Park, right?
Is that what it is?
I don't know.
I don't remember the name of it.
Yeah.
Down. They used to do haunted houses out there too.
Yeah.
And then there's the one in Oswego down 71. Where my mama Kay lives. Over there.
Yeah.
That way. There would just be, I don't remember how, we didn't have cell phones. It was literally like flyers where you'd be like, hey.
Everybody just knew.
We just every Saturday go to the woods. Okay.
Yeah, I was never part of it.
Well, thank God.
It sounds crazy.
It was wild.
Because what age range would have these been?
That was like pretty much, my first one was in 8th grade. And then through like 22 years old, I think I was going to them.
Jesus.
Mostly high school range.
Yeah,
they kind of
like 14 years.
They kind of just tapered off after that.
Yeah, because you grew up and were like, this is a bad idea. Because we
just went to clubs. We specifically just went to clubs. No more raves after high school.
Yeah.
Then it was clubs because we could get into clubs.
Right.
Rip Rocks, the Bamboo Room, Energy. Oh, Lord.
Yeah.
Where did we go downtown? Excalibur? Or no, that was Elgin. Everywhere. If there was a club, I probably went to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was that person.
Percolating around.
Percolating on everybody.
I gotta think that was like, you said you were never roofied or anything, which is great, but...
Well, I did. I had one incident where someone did, but he was really... My drink was fizzing. Oh. I'm like, sir, could you not?
Yeah.
And we returned it, the bartender kicked him out, but thankfully... Because people are skeezy.
Yeah, that's true.
Ew.
Do you ever just laugh and you're like, all you gotta do is ask? Like, I'm pretty much down.
And that's what I'm saying. Of me, of all people. I'm like, plenty of people will tell you no, and that's totally fine. That's on them.
Yeah, they're allowed
I'm the wrong person to do this too. Yeah. Just ask politely.
Before you're gonna drug somebody.
Just ask first.
Just ask.
Just shoot your shot. For fuck's sake. It's so ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. If I'm drunk enough, I'll probably just say yes. So just ask. Give me a few drinks first. Regular drinks. Non-drug drinks.
Yeah.
And see how it goes. No, those were wild times. I remember in 8th grade, who was Mr. Coley? He was Mr. Tough Guy. And I remember showing up. I was running late because I would bring my backpack. My backpack served two purposes: school, and then I would reload it with like water bottles and my pacifiers and all my things, my drugs, and bring it to the party.
You bring drugs?
Yeah.
What drugs?
Well, you would bring weed and like Molly and things that you wanted.
Which is ecstasy, right?
Well, yeah. I don't know. Is it? Are they the same thing? We used to call it Molly. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
What are the tabs?
The ecstasy tabs. I think
not tabs. The paper.
Oh,
acid? Is that acid?
Yeah.
Oof. I did that like twice. That was bad.
Yeah, I've heard it's
I mostly would just drink and smoke weed. And occasionally would be like the Molly. Or
starting at 13.
I've been through some shit.
We all know now. Jesus.
But I remember forgetting that I had my like ring of pacifiers attached to my backpack. I didn't take it off. Yeah. And I went to school, and Mr. Coley's like, "What's that?" And I was like, I went to a baby shower." And he's like, he's like, "Look at me," and my pupils. I guess my pupils were like dilated as fuck. And he called my parents. My mom's like, "Did you stay up all night again?" I'm like, "I did. I just couldn't sleep." You know, they're naive. Yeah. They don't know where I am.
But I was saying, you spend so much time not at your house.
No one knows.
But like you said, your dad could care less, and your mom works nights. Your mom's a server also.
She's oblivious.
She's a lifelong server as well.
And she is oblivious.
She is.
When I was in elementary school, I ran away for 2 days, a whole weekend.
Yeah.
Nobody even knew. They thought I was at my aunt's house. Because I'm at my aunt's house every weekend. They just thought I was there.
Yeah. Where were you?
At the park, a block away. Camped out in the playground because it was cold out. I wanted to see if anyone would miss me. No one even knew. How disappointing for me. God damn it.
I just want to see if they'll notice.
Nobody.
And then when you walk back here after living in the park, they're like, "How was your aunt's house?"
God damn it.
Yeah.
And so if you're ever wondering why I'm fucked up, here's a little insight. Yeah. I'm still a fun girl to hang out with, though, I swear.
Yeah, well, I feel like you've grown past most of those things.
It was just my way of dealing with things and having fun and testing the waters, I guess. But I would still go clubbing now. Yeah, well, my knees can't handle it, but
the music's fun.
I've gone going to concerts. I think it was last year. Yin Yang Twins opened for 50 Cent. Yeah. When I tell you, I couldn't walk for 2 days. I got low. This old man next to me, I'm like twerking on him. It was totally fine. Like I couldn't even go clubbing because I would be sore for 2 days. Like I'm too old to club, right. But I still would, just without the drugs and the booze and
Yeah.
Just give me some water and some dance music.
I imagine it's kind of like when an old wrestler comes back. You've got your knee braces on,
right.
and everything's taped up, and you're like, all right, let's percolate this place.
Pretty much. That's literally how it goes. I do miss those days. I'm not gonna, I miss, there's a lot of things I miss about those days. And again, I can kind of cookie cutter around the shit that was bad and go,
yeah.
I made some amazing friends.
I say there's a camaraderie there because there's a specific group that goes every time.
Right.
And is doing the same shit.
And just people that, like, I worked with at Chili's that I'm still friends with. And, like,
yeah.
just, I don't know. There's so much good that came out of all this stuff. But I have to laugh about the bad and just, you know, cautionary tale. Don't do these things.
Yeah.
Just do the fun things.
Well, just be mindful. Everybody's going to come to decisions they have to make.
Yeah.
And not everybody's going to end up the same direction. Just be mindful of what you want and where you're going and what matters to you. Like that's the best you can hope for, I suppose.
For sure.
Is to just be present, I guess, when these things come up.
True that.
And you don't have to do it because the cool kids are doing it.
Right. And that's one thing I think it's funny, like I've always, not that I've never wanted to like do the cool things like that everyone else is doing, but like I've always just done, I'm kind of a chameleon, but not in a poser situation, but like that sounds fun. And I like everything. Yeah. That's why people like make fun of me because I have like this child, like I get excited. I have fucking Hello Kitty all over my leg. I love.
You do have Hello Kitty tattoos.
I do, but I get excited about things. I get excited about wrestling still. Like, you know, I went to that, what did we go to? SmackDown. Yeah. And when I tell you, there's like little kids next to me and I'm like cheering with them, like, I'm like an 8-year-old boy sometimes, and that's okay. Like,
yeah, well, you like what you like.
I like what I like.
But see, I'm like that too, where I'm very excited about the things I like, but I like hearing what other people are excited about.
Right, and I get excited about their stuff too.
And I'm like, that does sound awesome.
Right?
You know how many times Jason's talked to me about drifting cars?
Yes, it's so scary, and I won't do it, but it
sounds
so fun.
But every time I'm like,
Sounds so good.
I would never care about this on my own. But I'll listen to you talk about it. It sounds awesome.
Well, I get excited about car stuff because I think of Jason. I'm like, oh, the car. He would love that car. I should get that for him when I'm rich.
He hates everything.
I know, but we have to love things. That's why I love all the things extra so that it makes up for him hating it.
For awful people like him.
For all the naysayers like him. No, he loves what he loves, but he reels it in. He likes very specific things. Yeah. Whereas I'm like, oh my God, kid in a candy store, and I like everything. I get overly excited about everything, and it's a real problem.
Yeah. I don't think it's a problem. I think it's great.
I guess it's not a problem. It's just, it's a little much. I know I can be, I don't know. Here's the thing, though, as an adult that I've realized. I've always said my whole life, I'm too much. But now I'm at the point as an adult where I'm like, well, then go ahead and fucking choke on it. Because, seriously, because I'm not going to keep dumbing myself down. I am too much. And that is I'm loud and I'm obnoxious sometimes. And I love everything. And if you don't like it, then choke on it. Yeah. That's what it is. I'm not going to keep going into bite-sized pieces for you.
I don't like the idea of anybody making themselves small.
No, and there's
way too much space in the world. Right. I'm reminded of Big Fish when he's like, do you ever think that maybe you're not too big, just where you are is too small?
Yes. You need a bigger tank. That's all. See?
Also, like, there's our stopping point.
Okay.
Because that's a beautiful quote to end on. You know, I'm too much. Choke on it.
Literally. No more bite-sized pieces.
You spent so much of your life trying to make yourself fit into this little box. Like, no, this is me.
Choke on it. That's all I can say.
I'm outside the lines.
This is the space I'm taking up. I'm not hurting anybody. Right. That's the catch. Don't hurt anybody. Don't bother anybody else. But if I'm doing my thing and you don't like it, instead of cutting myself into those bite-sized pieces for you, either take it as it is, go fuck yourself. That's it.
Well, I say we call it there. Thanks for taking the time. Appreciate you.
It was
Love
fun.
you, friend.
Love you.